Okay, ranting about that Robin Thicke album was fun and all, but now I want to really unofficially kick off this new location with a positive review. You know, something from a consistently great artist that's absolutely never let me down in the past, and I have no reason to doubt whatsoever. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about the new B.o.B mixtape, No Genre 2. So if you want to know about my history with B.o.B and just my general thoughts on a bunch of his other projects, I talked about that in my text review from last year of his last album, Underground Luxury, which I'll link in the description. I do really recommend reading it, since it does give a good amount of context for what I'm going to say for the rest of this video. But in a nutshell, like a lot of people did, I got into him in 2010 through The Adventures of Bobby Ray. Thought that was really good for the genuine lyrics and sometimes interesting instrumentation. Thought Strange Clouds from 2012 was good, but a bit less consistent quality-wise, thanks to some questionable features mostly. And was horribly disappointed by the Fucking We Ball mixtape from later that year, and thought that there were just no substance and no good songs on it whatsoever. And his last project, Underground Luxury, was slightly more tolerable to me, but at the end of the day for me it still amounted to a few gold nuggets in a pile of dog feces. I ended up putting in my Worst Albums 2013 video on my personal channel, which I'll link in the description. Since then I've been gradually getting into a couple of his earlier mixtapes, like B.o.B vs. Bobby Ray, which came out in 2009, which was just fantastic all around to me. It really played around with that dichotomy in his rap persona, you know, back when he was self-aware about it, we'll get into that later. And it really just showed a lot of his best sides in terms of instrumentation and flow and content. Just might be my favorite project from him to date. And the other one I heard was 2010's No Genre, which is also pretty great. It really showed more of a raw and cocky side of him that I hadn't really heard before at the time and really enjoyed. And of course, because it was a free mixtape, there are some really cool like sampling and reworking of classic songs done in a really cool way. Heck, even J.R. Rodham and Dr. Luke's tracks where they produced were pretty good. And as you can probably tell from the title, this new mixtape is pretty relevant to the latter. Now, like I said, I haven't really been a fan of his last couple projects or anything, but I mean, a sequel to what's probably his most widely acclaimed mixtape has to be some kind of return to form, right? Well, I'll say this, No Genre 2 is technically better than Fucking Me Ball and Underground Luxury, but if this was coming right off the heels of Strange Clouds, I have to admit, I would be pretty disappointed. See, what made those two really fail for me in a nutshell is that they tended to lack the likable personality, the creative instrumentation, the genuine lyrics that actually had some kind of content to them, the memorable melodies, basically everything that made B.o.B appealing in the first place, and replaced it with these dollar store trap beats and lyrics that really rarely go outside the typical money, club, sex, drinking rap tropes. As for No Genre 2, I honestly kind of have a hard time talking about it because, frankly, for the most part, with a few exceptions we'll get into later, it's more of the same. You got the generic trap beats, the scummy pickup lines that sometimes even go into that cheating angle that I've never really understood the appeal of at all. The money bragging that completely contradicts the ethical path he's on whenever, on some of the better tracks, he's bashing the industry and people only in it for the money. And of course the terrible features, albeit a lot less of them this time. The only major offender to me being Ty Dolla $ign of Or Nah fame, who I really hope doesn't blow up in the same way 2 Chainz did. Here's the thing, there's nothing inherently wrong with writing a rap song that's not packed in this grand theme or deep subject matter, I get that, and just plain spitting with this really cocky, confident attitude. Heck, B.o.B himself did this really well in the past on songs like Beast Mode and Say What You Want, or heck, even Magic to an extent. The difference is that there he managed to at least have some good points, or come off likable, or write a creative, engaging beat, or have some clever lines and wordplay, you know, the stuff that actually made the first No Genre so great and entertaining in the first place, and he does to a certain extent on the opening track to Your Mission Statement. Meanwhile, what he's done lately is just say, I have a lot of cars, I have a lot of girls who want to have sex with me, I have a lot of money, I go to the club and people love me there, screw the haters because they don't have as much money as me, and over and over again with these equally cringeworthy punchlines for at least half the track list. And it's not so much offensive or anything as it is just boring. But at the same time, just like on Underground Luxury with songs like John Doe and One Day and Nobody Told Me and Coastline, there are those songs that are just so much bafflingly better than the rest of the album that you gotta really question if they were even written by the same guy. For example, the songs Many Rivers and The Nation have probably some of B.o.B's most politically potent lyrics to date, and the latter has probably my favorite guest verse on this whole album from up-and-comer Jake Lambo, and I heard some of his other stuff shortly after listening to that, and I wouldn't exactly complain if he made some waves in the near future. And the all-sung Follow Me is definitely the most musically interesting song here, really filling its sound with a lot of great organic instrumentation with the guitars and pianos. It's got some really cool, uplifting lyrics, and it just makes me more impatient for B.o.B to finally put out that rock EP he's been promising for years now. Rounding out the songs I do like, Swing My Way and The Closer are chosen with T.I. and Spodee. They're not exactly the best lyrically on the album, in my opinion, but the beats are at least good enough that I'm willing to overlook that. And between those, Many Rivers and Follow Me is just more reasons why, in my opinion, B.o.B should just go full Big Crit and produce all his own stuff. But at the end of the day, No Genre 2 to me is just a subpar mixtape, especially considering what's a sequel to. The only reason why I do consider it a step above Underground Luxury is that unlike on there, the worst tracks don't so much actively grate on me as much as they just kind of blend together into this forgettable blob. But even then, there are pretty much the same amount of tracks, and in my opinion, the same amount of real good standouts. My theory is that if he actually decided to wait more than a year between projects for once, in like this alternate universe where he took the 5 great songs from Underground Luxury and the 5 great songs from this one and just mashed them together into an album he put out this year, then it could have very easily been my favorite hip-hop album of this year. But he just keeps fluffing these things up and dragging them down with all this derivative filler crap that has absolutely nothing new to offer whatsoever, and it just tends to overshadow those moments of creativity and sincerity that seem to be coming up less and less often lately. So I'm just going to give this 58. If you're a diehard fan and just kind of want to know what the guy's up to lately, feel free to go download this since it's for free. But don't go in with that high of expectations. Personally, I feel like the whole hip-hop sequel thing was done a lot better last year with Marshall Mathers LP2. And this definitely doesn't live up to the first No Genre in my opinion. But at the same time, again, it's not really his worst project to date, definitely more tolerable than the last two, I guess. Really less of a strike 3 and more of like hitting a foul ball at strike 2. And before you guys leave all your comments about how I'm a hater or whatever, you couldn't be more wrong. I'm personally just a disappointed fan who thinks that he's squandering his unique talents and just sounding like everyone else, and his relevance is just diminishing more and more with each project because of that. So what do you guys think about this mixtape? Do you agree with what I had to say, disagree, have any feedback about the channel in general? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to be civil. Share this around with anyone who might be interested, like the Facebook page in the description for updates, commentaries, and music news and reviews of older albums, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode of Spin Reviews. It's really tragic to me. B.o.B keeps making subpar projects, you see, squandering his talents and potential as an MC. And if you listened, you would probably agree. His career trajectory is just plain tragic, 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 it's really tragic to me!